Hi guys, I can't believe I have to do this video, but here we are. On the evening of January 5th, I noticed Helen Keller trending on Twitter. I remember the date because the next day was a rioting at the American Capitol, and this whole Helen Keller thing kind of got buried, I found. But it was trending because a video had gone viral on TikTok of a teenager saying that Helen Keller did not exist, and a bunch of other teenagers were all commenting that they agreed that she either didn't exist or was some sort of fraud. And we're talking like 15,000 teenagers were saying this, not just a few, crazy people. So why is that ableist, first and foremost? Ableism is discriminating against someone because they have a disability. Like sexism is discriminating on someone's sex, or racism is discriminating on someone's race. So if I were to say women can't use microwaves because they're women, you would tell me that's ridiculous, that's sexist. So saying that Helen Keller could not have done the things she did because she was deafblind is ableist. You're saying that for no other reason than having a disability, she couldn't possibly have done these things. Now I can understand, deafblind, especially she was unusual in that she was completely deaf and completely blind, and that it was not part of a syndrome. She didn't have any other physical problems. That's unusual. Most people who are considered deaf-blind, either it's part of a syndrome, and if it's not, then it's usually not complete like she was. They have hearing loss and vision loss, but not complete. She was unusual. That doesn't mean she didn't exist. She didn't do what she did. I understand it's hard to wrap your head around. I can't even begin to, and I'm not going to claim to. It's very, very different from any life I've ever known. But because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not true. One of the reasons that some of the teenagers gave was that they weren't taught about her in school, which um, I think is a valid point, because I've thought for a while that they need to be teaching more stuff that pertains to real life. I'm going to pick on math class because it was my worst subject and I hated it. But you could argue this for a lot of subjects in the later grades. So to use math, after about grade 9, where I live, it becomes more abstract. Calculus, trigonometry, algebra, stuff I'm not going to use, and only if you're going into very specific careers. So how about make that stuff, what's the word I'm looking for? Elective, sorry. So kids or students who are going into those fields can take those courses and make the mandatory stuff you can use in everyday life, right? So one could be like science for everyday life, because now we have people who think the earth is flat, right? And then another course I would love to see, well, financial literacy would be another one. And I would love to see people being taught about disability. There is so much ignorance. Blind people being told they can't have jobs or own houses, or that's what people think, I should say. Deaf people apparently can't drive, which is not true. And the list goes on. If you're blind, you can't see. You can figure everything else out. You know? If you have no arms and legs, you'll do something with your mouth. People figure things out. Yeah, there's going to be a limit, but people figure things out, and society doesn't give them enough credit. They tend to look at disabled people with a lot of sympathy and think they can't do anything. And that's not individuals' fault so much as it's society's fault. Because disabled people were locked away and hidden for so long, and even now that they've been more integrated into society, they still tend to remain on the fringes. And I feel that some of that could be alleviated in school by teaching about disability, how to interact with people with different disabilities, what they actually can and can't do, and so forth. Yeah, society. I'm looking at notes here. So, like I already touched on this, society needs to do a better job integrating. How many of those kids making those comments have ever even met a deaf-blind person? And somebody on Twitter who is deaf-blind, and in her profile picture, you can see she's wearing hearing aids, and she has an eye problem. She was getting attacked, saying she's not actually deaf-blind, because she has some vision and some hearing, and that's not what that means. That's not how that works. And people need to be being taught this stuff, because it's leading to this stupidity, this ableism, that Helen Keller didn't exist. Because you don't understand it, because it's foreign to you, doesn't make it a hoax or untrue or make her a fraud. And think twice before you say someone can't do something simply because they have a disability.